What are the 10 biggest problems when doing translation? Stay tuned.
Rapport International, professional translation and interpretation services.
Let's start with number 10. Number 10, the most obvious is don't use the Google plugin on your site. That's not a good way to meet accessibility requirements or to capture the market you want. And even crazier is the people who are using it are putting the Google plugin down on the way bottom and they're leaving the words in English. So if I'm an English speaker and I go to a site that's all in Chinese, first I have to know to look for Google plugin, and then I have to go down to the very bottom and find it and look for English spelt in Chinese. I'm never going to find that, yet that's what English language websites are doing, so don't use the Google plugin. Number 9, poorly written English copy causes a huge problem for translators, because if you use dangling participles and incomplete sentences and incorrect punctuation, that old one, let's have grandma for dinner, where you put the comma, it can mean huge different things. So if it's poorly written copy, or if you're making edits to the copy after you give it to the translator, this gets really difficult for project managers and translators to work with because they don't know what your original meaning is. Number 8, not having a translation management plan. Before you even start translating, you should know how it fits in with the company's strategy, how it aligns with the multilingual strategy. They go together, and then you need to look at your process, your technology, and the quality that you need for particular products. So that helps define and give a process around everything that you're doing for translation. So before you start, think that through a little bit. Number 7, haphazard or inconsistent use of translators. If I go out to Jose one day and Maria another day and Juan another day for my Spanish translations, they're all going to be slightly different because we all have individual word choices that we prefer. I may say dinner, you may say supper, and in the United States it has the same meaning. And so if you think of me writing something versus your sister writing something, our styles are going to be different. And plus, the more you translate material, the more you get to know it and the better you get at doing it. So if you find a good translator, stick with them and make sure your agency is picking out the right person for your job. Number 6, you have a specific use for the translation, and you want your translation vendor to understand, or your translator, what exactly that material is going to be used for. We got a request to do an edit on a French translation because somebody was trying to do some marketing in Canada, and when they released a translation up there, they said, oh, this is a really poor translation. Well, it was done by somebody from Haiti who speaks Haitian Creole French, which is very different from Canadian French. So when we looked at it, we understood exactly what it was they were looking at, and that should have been a request at the start. Number 5, missing the Spanish market in the United States. Did you know that the Spanish-speaking market in the United States is the second largest Spanish-speaking market in the world? It's only second to Mexico. It's bigger than all the other Spanish-speaking markets around. It's bigger than Argentina. It's bigger than Spain. So you've got huge potential right here without leaving the borders. And go watch Spanish TV. Sometime. Telemundo, you can see the major advertisers that are on there. So think about your community and what you sell and make sure you're not missing out on that. Number 4 is trying to enter too many markets at once or trying to do too many languages at once. So make it part of your strategic objectives of where you're going to go, how you're going to make the decision. This all goes back to the translation management plan. And then figure out a process. And once you put the process in place and you've defined what materials you're going to translate for what uses and what quality they need to have, then you can roll out other languages. But if you do it with one language, it will be easier to manage. Number 3, your corporate strategy. Understand what your corporate strategy is for translation and make sure you have executive buy-in, because there's going to be a time where somebody says, Why are we spending all this money on translation? And rather than looking at it as an expense, the smart companies are looking at it as an investment, and they're actually tracking the return that they get on it. Now with the tracking abilities that we have in marketing alone, you can track where the business is coming in from. And that's how some people actually start becoming exporters. They become what's called as accidental exporters, because they see businesses coming in from Germany and they try a landing page and see if they can increase what's coming in. So get your executive buy-in before you're doing it. Make sure it aligns with your corporate strategy. Number 2, as we're getting down to the big one, but number 2 is shopping on price. Now there's an industry group that has done a research study, and we ran a research study, and where we come in is a little bit higher than average. We're not the most expensive, and we're definitely not going to be the cheapest, but we look like we're way more expensive, because if people come to us and say, what's your price per word? We give a fully loaded price per word, whereas some competitors have figured out how to play the game and quote a low price per word, but then they have add-ons for proofreading, for project management, for quality control. All that should come packaged in a translation. So we've been surprised about the games with pricing. And then also, is it an apples to apples? Like, are you looking at the same thing? Like, have both companies take into account that there might be some layout? Have both companies, are they doing it off the same word count, or did they use different ways to get the word count, and so one shows lower? So this is something, if you don't know about, make sure you're getting very clear on what the price includes and what the total inclusion cost is going to be. And the number one mistake people make with translation is not doing it. I have heard again and again that English is the global language, so we don't need to translate. Well, if you look at the statistics, people are more apt to buy, and they're more apt to pay more money if they have materials in their own language. So before you say English is the global language, you're getting way behind the times, and you're not looking at what you truly can get out of your translation. You have questions, let me know. If you have comments or anything that I've missed that you've run into with translation, I'd love to hear it in your comments below. And keep in touch. Thanks. Bye.
If you found this video helpful, please share it, leave a comment, and subscribe. If you like hearing fun language and culture facts and goofs, use the link below to subscribe to our bi-monthly Tidbit newsletter. And of course, visit our website for more information or to schedule a free translation assessment.